Nicola. Thanks for being with us again. So we had you on stage in 2014, and you said mobile, mobile, mobile. In 2016, last year, you said video, 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 and your predictions have turned out to be pretty true. What's next for Facebook? What's the next big thing? You don't have to say it 3 times, but you can if you want.
By the way, I'm loving this set. Don't we love this set?
It is awesome. Very colorful.
Yeah, I'm loving it. So we dressed colorfully. We thought that might be a good thing. So this is a really hard thing to try and think about what's going to happen in a tech company. Next week is my 4th anniversary of being at Facebook. And if I think back, what's happened in that 4 years. So 4 years ago, we were a blue app and just acquired Instagram. And now we're a whole family. We've got Instagram, we've got WhatsApp, Oculus, Messenger, and many other bits and pieces as well within the family. And yes, we said that when I was last here, I did talk about the growth of video. And that's continued. We're now seeing that on the platforms we have on Facebook, 100 million hours of video is being watched every single day. People are uploading more video. And actually, we're seeing that live has been a real contributor to people spending more time on video. So now 1 in 5 videos on Facebook is actually a live video. How many people here have ever done a live video? Give me a show of hands. Oh, quite a lot, especially at the front. I'm not sure why the people at the back didn't do it, but maybe you could try it. And we've seen live videos being done for all manner of reasons, whether it was, I don't know if you remember the Chewbacca mom.
Oh, yes.
Who put that Chewbacca, you remember that, where she, and that growling. That was seen 160 million times. Or we just saw, just last weekend, the Ariana Grande, the Manchester Loves concert, which is something born out of huge tragedy, but I think what she did was extraordinary. And when we look back on that video now, we can see that 81 million people watched that video around the world. 22,000 people actually donated money. We were trialing a new product about Donate and raised $500,000 as a result. So something born out of tragedy, but I think also reflects the fact how video and all its guises is becoming a more and more an important part of our lives. So I'm going with video.
So still video.
I'm going with video.
You did say that Facebook would be all video at some point. Do you believe that? Do you think that that'll come to fruition?
I think it's about how video is being used in different people's lives in different times. And so we are seeing a shift, but we're seeing actually that people just absorb different things in different ways. And if I think about where we're going across the different platforms, I think about the use of camera and how people now, we have these super cameras in our hands now. And so we've actually now, when we recently announced at our developers conference that we're making a platform of camera that people can actually build on top of. So you can now maybe have text on top or stickers or other things and images that people can add together, which I think gives a much more rich experience. So it's video plus lots of other things as well.
And your CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, has also talked quite a bit about the future for Facebook in things like augmented reality and, of course, artificial intelligence and virtual reality. You bought Oculus. How should people in this room be thinking about some of these technological trends, which are much more fringe still than, obviously, mobile and video, which are ubiquitous at this point? Is this something that will, for a company like Facebook, you take risks, you make these acquisitions, but for other companies outside of the tech world, do we need to care about these upcoming technologies?
Yeah, so Mark certainly set out a direction for travel for us in terms of what the next decade looks like. And as I said, looking back even on the last 4 years, how much has changed, you can start to see what will change in the next decade. And you're right, I mean, the whole world of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality is going to impact us. But the question is, when will we get there? When will we get to mass? But I think it's only about really a limitation on our own imaginations, and starting to see some of the work that people are doing in this area is fantastic. So I'm totally inspired by a project in Brazil, working in virtual reality, to see if they can do research about how they can help paraplegics train the brain to rework again. And we've already seen where there's been different organizations have actually created virtual reality for those people to try and see what it's like to walk again. And it's very humbling when you hear the words, "I can see my legs." And of course, this is a person that's not been able to walk for a long time. So you have at that extreme, but then you also have, well, what's it like to, go and have a travel destination to the Antarctic? And you can sort of feel it and be there. But we're really right at the beginning of these things. So I think it's about understanding the journey of travel and then understanding how it might impact different industries at different times.
Okay. And your mission has been to create this open and connected world, and you've got close to 2 billion users at this point, so you're pretty far along that path. At the same time, having this open and connected world comes with some drawbacks, and there have been several controversies, right? Recently, I'm trying, that are, just a lot of discussion about, for example, to take one topic that's really topical right now, terrorism and the role of internet companies in combating it and in not allowing for it to fester in social networks. What is Facebook doing to mitigate this?
Okay, so I think there's two parts to your question. The first is on the mission and the connectivity point, whereby we do have 1.9 billion users, but we're not satisfied. We want to see how we can make sure that the people out there that are not connected, how can they be connected, and take what we take for granted, which actually is a privilege to have connection to the internet. Majority of people in the world don't have that today. So we're doing a load of work in that area, working with different partners, NGOs, governments, with satellites, all manner of different things, so we can help get more people connected. That's the first part. The second part to your question about the environment and the responsibility we have, we take that hugely seriously. So we're very clear on this, that we want to be a hostile environment for terrorists. There is no place for their content on our site, and we will take it down. And we will take it down through a combination of people, and also through a combination of the different tools that we have and the different tools that we're creating as well. And we made an announcement recently that this is an area that we take incredibly seriously, and that's the reason that we've just announced that we're going to be hiring another 3,000 people to be able to work in this area. It matters to us, and we'll do more here.
It's an unprecedented challenge, though, right? Because you're dealing with amounts of data that really no one has seen before, and it's photos and videos which are very hard to search through, at least when you're applying just technology, and of course messaging, and there's so much there. Is the biggest challenge a technological one? Is that why it hasn't been mastered yet? Or has it been more of a philosophical one in that it wasn't, it took some time to figure out, okay, what is our role? We want to have an open and connected platform. We don't want to censor and sanction. At the same time, you need to have certain safeguards in place. So which has been trickier, I guess? The philosophical side or the technological side?
I think we're really clear on this area. We want, and I think the people in our community on Facebook want Facebook to be a safe place. So we have very clear policies, very clear guidelines that we've created over the last 13 years that addressed exactly the questions that you talk about. So from a philosophical, we are very clear that there is no place. It is a hostile environment for terrorists, and that really is important to us. That matters to us. And we've got teams of people around the world. We already have 4,500 people that are working in this area, as well as all the automated tools that we have that continue to evolve and continue to get better as the technology evolves. But I'm proud of the work that we are doing in this area, and we are absolutely committed to zero tolerance in this specific area that we are talking about.
So I guess, and just to understand, but I guess my question is, if that is the case, then why hasn't it been, you still have these things that go on, and whether it's on Facebook Live or in other parts of the platform, where it's being used in ways that you've said it shouldn't be used at this point. So is it still a technological hurdle to get through?
So I think the way that we see this is that there's three ways that we will overcome this. It starts with people. Actually, it starts with the community. Have we made it as easy as possible for the community to report if there is something there? I think we have. I think we've done a good job in that area. It starts with our own people in terms of the people in our community operations team that are trained to work to evolve. And actually on the technology side, there's some pretty good technology on here now in terms of understanding what pieces of content maybe we wouldn't want on there. We can take that down, and a lot of it would be taken down before it had even got up there in many respects. But there's also the other part around partnership as well, how we're partnering with different organizations around the world, including law enforcement, to, if we see something whereby maybe somebody was trying to do harm, we would report that instantly to law enforcement, and law enforcement would then go off and do what they needed to do. That's their job, that's their role. So we see that it's all those things coming together where we can play our part to create the environment that we know that the community wants. And ultimately, the community is the most important thing for us on Facebook in terms of that it feels safe with the information that it's sharing. And Mark Zuckerberg recently wrote, I don't know if you saw it, a 6,000-word letter about how the evolution of the Facebook community is going over this next period. And he talked about a safer community, a more inclusive community, how the community to come together for civil action, things like elections, how we can help people find the information that they care about. So I think you'll start to see some of the focus that we're doing in these different areas, things like safety check, It's something that I've talked about a lot, which safety check is the thing that when there's maybe a terrorist incident or a natural disaster, that people can report that they're safe to their family and friends. Now, it's something that I've spoken about in speeches and conferences around the world, but it was very different when you actually have to use it yourself. When we had the Westminster attacks, my husband was caught up in Parliament. We had to mark that suddenly family and friends started to say, are you all right? Are you safe? And I activated it. And then in Manchester, I'm from Manchester, my family's from there, and again, the same thing. So it really drives it close to home in terms of what the impact it is of being connected to people and how you can reassure people, even at the most difficult of times, that you are safe. And then how we now recently started to develop that out as well. Because the other thing that we saw the community told us was, well, it's one thing to say you're safe, but how do you help the people that are in those areas? And you hear the stories of people where the kids maybe got caught up and left, and maybe someone got a room for the night because I can't get home, I can't travel. So we've started to develop now new products where people can connect with each other at those times of crisis when the community needs to come together, needs to help each other. So actually I'm incredibly proud of the role that Facebook is playing here.
And I'll turn to you guys for questions in just 1 minute. Real quick, you brought up another really topical point, which is the role of humans and algorithms, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room at your respective companies are dealing with this. What have you learned about the balance, human moderators, editors, and algorithms, and how to have those two sides work together?
So I think this is a question at the heart of it, which is about the individual news feeds. And so the amazing thing about the 1.9 billion people that are connected on Facebook is that every single one of our news feeds are different. And the reason every single one of our news feeds are different is because we all care about different things. So we've got different friends, we've got different families, we're interested in different music acts or charities. And so the news feed that you get is an amalgamation of all the things that you care about. And what we look for with the algorithm is the things that you care about the most. So you might have created groups that are your closest friends. Those are the things that you really want to see. You might have the people that you're friendly with that you went to school with 20 years ago. Well, you're younger than me, but 20-something years ago for me. So that you maybe don't want to see quite as often that come up in your newsfeed. So so that's what you see, that everybody's is different, and it's based on the things that matter most to you and the most personal to you.
Okay, and we had a couple of questions, I think. We'll get a mic over to you guys. One right over here.
Hello, thank you. Blanca Yuti from Heineken. Let's talk a little bit about fake news, because a lot of people are getting their news now from social media. The challenge is when news get repeated a lot, often what's fake, people perceive to be real. And then it gets really difficult to address it. So what are you guys doing about that? And can you also talk a little bit about data privacy? You saw the whole stuff with Cambridge Analytica and the elections in the US, some of which seemed quite worrying in terms of profiling. Thanks.
Cool. So the area of misinformation, by the way, we love the work that we do with you guys, so just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
So we take the whole area of misinformation very seriously because people, when they come to Facebook, want to see the things, as I said, that matter to them. So it's actually something we've been working on for a while, and we've done a number of things in this area. The first is actually, we took the financial, a lot of the people that were spreading this whole area of fake news, misinformation, were actually financially incentive companies that were wanting to do this. So we've taken them off. We've just taken them off the platform, and they're not there anymore. So, and actually, we've seen a great reduction. And we announced some figures around the French election, where we took down 30,000 different pages, posts, etc., that were linked in this area. The next area that we looked at was actually how we can make it easier for people to report. And so we did. So we've done that as well, and we've put that out. And then the third area that we've been looking at, well, there's a couple more things. One is around how we can actually educate people to understand what is and what isn't, and some of the tips that you can see, which when you start to stack them up are pretty clear. So we ran a campaign in the UK amongst different newspapers recently, and we also put it at the top of people's news feeds to make sure people were equipped with the best knowledge possible about how to combat that. So that was how we're thinking about it. But again, we're not going to rest on this till the information that people are getting is the information that matters most to them, and that's something that we'll continue to work on. On the issue of data privacy, this one's a really simple one for us. Your information is safe with us. It is just, that is the most important thing to us. The user trust that we have with the individuals and with us has to rely on the fact that we are holding that data tight and we are holding that data in a privacy-safe way, and we will continue to do that. That's the number one thing that we will do.
Another last quick question for Nicola.
Hi, Nicola. Sam from Newsnight. Nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you.
Just to say, obviously, post-London Bridge, there was specific criticism from Mrs. May about social media and an expectation that more should be done by Facebook, Twitter, by everybody. Did you feel that was fair or deflection from government failings?
I think I've already addressed that in some of the questions that Michal was asking me about the responsibility that we have and how we are absolutely committed to make sure that we're playing our part and that the environment that we have on Facebook is an environment where there is absolutely no place for terrorists. It's as simple as that.
Do you, just as a very, very brief follow-up, but there was at least one minister, I believe, who actually called for internet companies that are used by terrorists to communicate to be held legally liable. Do you think that that is something that should happen or not?
So I think that for this whole area, we're working incredibly closely with the government and also with law enforcement as well. We will continue to do that, and we will continue to make sure that if we have information, we would, of course, provide it to law enforcement, as you would expect us to do. But we hold our place incredibly seriously here, and we understand the responsibility that we have. And I'll say it again, there is absolutely no place for this content anywhere on Facebook.
So should I take that as a no?
You should take it as there is absolutely no place for this content on Facebook.
All right, on that note, we will end. Nicola, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.